looking up.
Oh, hello there. Yeah, we've reached the fag end of the year, haven't we? Eh? We've got a few days off, so it'll be nice not to have to do any PCR or lateral flow tests or wear a mask for hours on end, which kind of brings us to today's subject, which is Big Lie No.4. Yes, big end of the year thing, Big Lie No.4, which is that the NHS is in need of reform, in inverted commas. I'm leaving that one a bit nebulous because I want to concentrate just on one particular character, who is Nigel Farage, who, on a very regular basis over the last few weeks, has been just asking the questions, saying, is the NHS now fit for purpose? And the important thing about this is whenever people like Nigel Farage are just asking the questions, number one, they're not doing so from a standpoint of being concerned about public health. Just a few hours before this, he was making comments about how daft it is to vaccinate rough sleepers, showing an enormous grasp of public health medicine and one that he should really be proud of. Yes, apparently we're just going to waste money on that. Be awful, that, wouldn't it? Wasting money on vaccines, wasting money on the COVID response. But we'll come back to that one. Yes, anyway, whenever characters like Nigel Farage and the rest of the crew who are employed to agree with everything that he ever will say, is that they don't mean that we want to change what the NHS does. What they mean is we want to do a lot more of what we've been doing for the last 12 years. The NHS has been run by this government. It's still this government, even if it is 12 years later. They're still the same people. You might recognise a lot of them. Yeah, sometimes they play magical chairs at the top of the table. Musical. But it's still the same crew, and they always want to bring in reforms, don't they? And the reforms, oddly, always seem to have the negative effect of doing completely the opposite to what they tell you it will do. So whenever Nigel Farage et al. Are going to tell you about the reforms they want, you can be sure it means exactly the same thing. And on a blunt level, it means that they want to privatise the service. How do we know this? Because Nigel Farage has said so many times in the past, he doesn't believe in a state-funded healthcare provider. There you go. Yeah. And he's quite happy to lie to you about it because, don't forget, there were enormous porkies about numbers on buses. Yes, numbers on buses, which magically he was not part of. Admittedly, he was not part of. Okay, yeah. It's a huge lie. What these people want to do is they want to get rid of the NHS in any way, shape or form, in its current form, as in free at the point of entry, because, number one, it means that they can make a great deal of money. Number two, they won't be affected by it. And number three, politically, it means that last bastion of the state and large amounts of union power will be broken up. They've done it with everything else. The NHS is the last thing to go. And that's why it's so important now that we need to just have the discussion. It's a lie. Yeah? And the simple way that we can tell it's a lie is just to think about track and trace, which is where all of their mates got together and decided that the best thing that you could do with an experienced 60, 70-year-old professionals, a group of professionals in the NHS, is to hand out contracts to your mates. And we can see that that was a little bit of a waste of money, wasn't it, Nigel? But we won't talk about that anymore, will we? I'm sure we won't, until the public inquiry comes out and discovers that no one was to blame. Yeah, it's a lie, all right? It's a lie, and they will completely carry on saying the same thing about the lie. We can't trust the science, we can't trust the medics, we can't trust Chris Whitty. Oh, it's not fit for purpose. It's not my job to save the NHS, it's their job to save me. Just look at the numbers, Oh, can't get a GP appointment. Yeah. Well, if you magically bugger around and completely defund a service for 12 years, there may be a few problems, but their reforms and questions asking won't lead to a better service, guys. I can assure you of that. You're too small to matter. You're the homeless sleepers they don't want to spend any money on.